So I have over 7,500 videos on my YouTube channel. I've been doing this full time for more than 3 years, and I can count on one hand the amount of games that I have rage quit or just stopped playing after I've paid money for them. Um, Monster Hunter Wilds is now in that grouping, and I'm really torn on whether or not I'm actually going to keep streaming the game to completion or if I'm just going to let it go to the wayside, maybe pick it up at a later date. I'm not sure yet, but I kind of want to walk you through uh, what went down if you weren't at the stream today. So, my second stream, which was this morning, was the stream that sort of pushed me over the edge and made me go, oh my God, I don't know. We got 5 hours in and I had to just stop. I just had to stop, and it just went away. Took a nap, had some food, woke up from said nap. I'm getting ready to go jump in the shower to start my second stream of the day, which is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. But I wanted to make this video before then because I have thoughts and I wanted to get them out there. So, um, first and foremost, it's not that it's a bad game, but there are some major issues at play here which are keeping me from having the fun that I might otherwise have with this game. And I just want to get these thoughts out there because, I'm fairly balanced in my review process. I do 3 major reviews for every game I play. I put a lot of time in the games I play. We do the early thoughts videos, we do the initial reviews, then we do the final reviews. So every game tends to get 3 in-depth reviews from me as I play through games. Most of the time when I stop playing a game, it's because I'm no longer having fun. I can't think of any games where I've stopped playing it because there were bugs or anything. It's because of the fun factor. And someone said today during the stream they could tell from the look on my face that I wasn't having fun. And it was like, you're not wrong. I'm not having fun. And I kind of want to walk people through that process because fun is different things to different people. This game has a $70 price tag. That's a pretty steep price tag to pay to get into this. And I'm coming into this game as a first entry into the Monster Hunter series. So I've never played a Monster Hunter game before. And so I went into this knowing that I was already sort of on the fence about some of the things in the game, some of the mechanics and stuff, because it's kind of outside of my wheelhouse. So I went into this knowing full well that I was probably taking a risk in, spending money on this game. But I didn't realize that the UI and the menus would be the things that drove me away from this, that really made me, at the end of today, those were the main things. Also, just for those of you who were there during the stream this morning, just a combination of different things. Like the straw that broke the camel back was when I failed the quest to kill the lava tentacle beast. Why? Because I kept getting stuck against the wall and stuck in the geometry when trying to get away from the flame attacks, and to the point where I just got stuck over and over and over and kept dying because my character would get stuck on a rock, or I would get stuck in the nook or cranny, or I would somehow get stuck when I was trying to duck and tumble away from things. And it was that on top of these other issues related to the clunky UI, the lack of tutorials, and a bunch of other stuff. So I know some people out there are going to be coming at me right now going, how is it possible that you can't like this game? It's the best game ever. Absolutely love this game. In my initial early thoughts video, I gave this a 6.5 to 7 out of 10. And I listed the issues that I had with it. After today's session, I'm dropping that to a 5 out of 10. And the reason is because there is just an absolute lack of tutorials and an absolute this system. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. So you're running around, you're gathering components, like we're going out into the wild, gathering components, and you're getting like mushrooms and stones and things, and many of these things are used to do your upgrades and to craft your weapons, right, and to do your armor and stuff, and that's all explained and you're working with it. But what's not explained is like the mushrooms and stuff, and like what are you doing with these things, and like as an example, You can do things like make potions and do the ammo and all this stuff. None of that is explained, ever. So during the gameplay today, someone was like, "Hey, go into your inventory, go into your menu, and you can go into this crafting list, and then you can go in here and you go down through this crafting list, and you can actually use all of those things you've been finding to create items, to craft items." And I'm like, "What?" Like, that's never ever explained anywhere in the tutorials that we saw. And we had a bunch of people in chat who were saying, "Yeah, right." Like, we were literally trying to figure out what we're doing with all these recipes, all these items and everything. And then at some point, I came in here to my tent, and I was going through my tent and looking at things, and we were looking at the crafting list. And this is like, we were in here, and all of a sudden I picked up the crafting list and saw that you could make all these things. And only after I had opened this menu did a tutorial on screen pop up and say, "Oh yeah, by the way, this is where you can craft items." And it's like, there was never a tutorial that explained all those things. Another perfect example of this is like, we were talking about how anytime a game teaches you something, the game should teach you how to do it through a hands-on tutorial, right? So as an example, the game does have tutorials in some areas, but let's say I want to drink a hot tea to counter cold effects, right? Or something of that nature, like eat something that has a cold bonus effect. The game should have something that pops up and tells you how to craft those items. That never happens. We were in the middle of combat. No, I know what it was. Here's the one that drove me nuts today. Here's the one that really drove me nuts. So you get this thing, right? I gotta find it now. Portable barbecue grill. Put it down on the ground. Now, all that happened when I went to go grill meat, you go to grill meat, this pops up, right? And there's a button at the top right that says roast. There's some music that plays, a very quick thing, animation plays, and then it's done. All that happens the very first time you do this is there's a tiny little thing that pops up and says, don't burn the meat. You know, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was like, in order to make steaks, you got to cook the meat. It has to be cooked properly. If you cook it too much, it'll burn. You don't want to burn it because then you can't get the proper cuts out of the meat. And that's it. Don't burn the meat. And then that little pop-up window goes away, and then it throws you into that little cutscene, and that's it. There's no explanation of any of what this is, right? It's just this. And the only thing... There's no explanation of how that works. Now, a proper tutorial would be something like, it's going to pause the game, a window's going to pop up, and it's going to show you either a series of screenshots or a short animated video that shows you the exact process you need to be doing. Like, hey, here's the process of cooking the meat. There's a quick animation. It's going to change color. You want it to look like this. If you want the best, don't burn it. If it burns, it looks like this. And then go ahead and try it. And you would click a next button. It would unpause the game. You would then cook the meat, try it a few times, and then it would say, great, now you got the hang of that. Let's try cutting. And then let's take you into the cutting process whereby you then cut the meat. Instead, what happens is it throws you into that. If you do that properly just by pushing the button randomly and figure out what's going on, then it takes you to another cutscene where you're supposed to cut the steaks, right? And all it says is cut in time with the music to cut the steaks. Again, very quick animation sequence with no tutorial on what you're supposed to be doing. The game should then, in my opinion, you would get a tutorial and it would pause and then tell you this is what you need to do, cut the meat. And instead, this is what happens. This happens, and I've learned, okay, it turns color, and let's do that. Now it goes to the next sequence. Look how fast this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, done. Right? Now it tells you, like, if you want to get the most of it, you're supposed to be cutting in time to the music, but there is never a moment where it pauses to, like, say, hey, this is what you should be doing to get the most of this. Little nitpick things. Um, the amount of menus is ridiculous, none of which have any explanations of anything. The most atrocious of this is the play guide, where it's like, oh, you want to learn how to play the game? Here's a play guide. Go watch this. We're not going to actually teach you how to play the game by playing the game. We're going to send you to something that has nothing to do with the actual in-game. We're not actually going to show you how to play the game. We're going to send you to this series of things where we're just going to show you button presses, right? Anyway, here's the other one. I'm playing in single-player offline mode. I should be able to pause the game, right? It tells you when you're doing this, you can pause the game if you're playing single-player campaign mode. So 99% of the games that I play, if I pause the game, I can hit the, to bring up the options menu, game's paused. Not this game. This game keeps on going because the pause button has nothing to do with this. You actually have to open this up, then you have to scroll over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times to get to this window where it actually has a pause game button. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. Now, this happened on stream. We were in the middle of a boss fight, and for some odd reason, even though I'm playing on single player mode and I'm supposed to be able to pause the game, as you just saw, we were doing a boss fight, and I had used the SOS feature to call in NPC allies to come help me. My wife comes home, she pops her head in, she's got a cat in her arms, and she's like, hey, I'm home. I didn't hear her, so I was like, oh, hang on a second. Tried to pause the game, couldn't pause the game. It wouldn't let me pause the game. It was like, you're not allowed to pause the game when you're in the middle of a lobby or matchmaking session. And I'm like, what? And so I'm like, headset off, paying attention to my wife, and I died. My character died because the game didn't let me just pause. I should not be having to click. I should not be having to click over 5 times and then hitting a pause button. I should be able to just open this up and now I'm paused. That's how a game should pause. And on top of that is like I'm continually having issues with all this stuff that happens with the radial. Not just the radial, but this selection window where you're holding this button which also operates the radial menu, right? And then it's like this happened literally in a fight. So we were running, right? We're running from a boss mob, and I'm down here scrolling, trying to get to my health potions, right? And as I'm running, notice that the camera is not turning. The camera is following my character. So I'm running, and I hit the edge of a wall. And I'm running, and I need to pan the camera so that I can see where I'm going to try to stay ahead of the boss mob, right? While I'm simultaneously looking over here trying to figure out what my health potions are. And as I'm running, I go to try to pan my camera. What happens when you hit the right thumbstick to try to pan your camera? Oh, it goes into the radial menu, and now it wants to do this, and now I'm completely, and I can't, and if I do this, then it like stops my character to like do something else. Like, the controls are the biggest mashup of jank I've ever seen. And then it's like, oh, you're using... by the way, I switched to range today to try to range out. And so not only do you have the circle and square, it's also triangle and X to go through your different ammo types. And it's like, that is just... no. And then constantly today, like I said, the straw that broke the camel's back was me trying to run away from that tentacle beast and continually getting stuck on rock outcroppings and everything else. And while at the same time struggle bussing with the auto sheathing feature of my weapons, because it keeps like auto sheathing my weapons when I do things like start running or jump or all these things that would automatically sheath my weapons. So all of my chat says, well, turn off the auto sheathing feature. So I did. Guess what? The game still auto sheaths your weapons if you do certain things, like run off of a rock outclopping. Well, now you're hanging and it auto sheaths your weapon, obviously, but when you get back up, because it auto sheathed it, now it's not bringing it up. The other thing is, like, if you start sprinting while you're trying to run away from the mob, right? So you go to run away from the mob, well, now you're sprinting. Guess what? We're going to auto sheath your weapon. Even though you specifically told it not to auto sheath your weapon anymore, it auto sheaths your weapon. And I realize that some of you out there who are hardcore fanatics for the Monster Hunter franchise are just going, well, that's just the way these games are played. And again, this is my first entry, so I'm sure some of this is learning curve, right? I'm sure some of this is me having to get used to a game series that I've never played before. It's outside of my wheelhouse. I don't find the game to be overly challenging. Like, I haven't had issues with boss mob fights or any of the combat or anything like that. The issue with the boss I fought today was the fact that I kept dying due to getting stuck in the geometry, getting stuck in nooks and crannies, trying to run while bringing up my health potions, needing to turn, and I couldn't turn because the moment I hit the right thumbstick to turn while I'm looking for my health potions, I try to turn and now I'm in this radio menu and I can't do any of this. So now I got to run over here and I'm trying to turn, and all of a sudden I'm stuck in a corner again. Or just flat out getting stuck and not being able to jump out or duck out of the way because we're stuck in the environment. Was enough to make me, at 5 hours into the stream today, I was like, you know what, guys, I've had enough. So we went away, and I woke up from my nap and said, I don't know that I want to stream this game anymore. And it sucks because I do like some aspects of this game. I think it looks great. I do like the combat. I like the weapon styles. I like the upgrading system for the weapons and the armor. I like the concept of needing to go kill monster types and collect different bits and pieces to put together these really cool armor and weapon sets. All of that is fun, but the jank related to the menu, the lack of tutorials, the getting stuck in the environment, the whole this selecting hit potion things while you're trying to also look for cleanser because you just got nuked with something, and oh, now you need an antidote, so we got to search for the antidote, and while you're looking for things in the bottom right, you're supposed to also be paying attention to running around the battlefield to stay ahead of the boss mob so that you don't get hit. And if you need to try to move and you use that right thumbstick to try to turn, it puts you into this radial menu, which is not where you want to be. And then if you let go of it, you know, it performs an action, and you can turn that off to where you need to click it. But it's still the fact that it's forcing me to use these clunky UI menus and radial menus and things that just don't make sense. And then just all of this stuff where it's just menu upon menu upon menu, and none of it is explained. And I think someone in the chat today, the kicker for me was when they were like, well, it just, one of the best things I would always give, one of the best advices I could give to new players of this game is just go watch some guides on YouTube to learn how to play it. And I'm like, the moment I have to go out of the game to watch someone explain how to play it is the moment that I say that game has failed at onboarding the new player. And I know some of you are immediately going to say, get good, Grandpa. Dude, I've got, again, 7,500 videos on my channel. I do this for a living. I play a shitload of video games. This is not a Dark Souls game, not a Souls-like. Those are the games I stay away from. I stay away from Souls-likes because I don't like to beat my head against boss mobs 50 different times to beat them. This is not a Souls-like. This isn't a skill issue for me. What it is an absolute... I said during the stream today that I feel like this is the worst onboarding process for a new player that I've ever seen outside of like little indie games made for $15,000. Like, this is this is a franchise game that costs millions of dollars to make, and it has one of the worst onboarding processes I've ever seen. The absolute lack of tutorials, the clunky menu system, the absolutely atrocious UI, and the way they expect you to be going through all of this in the middle of combat, and while you're trying to run around, and you can't run around because if you try to run around, now you're in the radial menu, getting stuck in the environment, everything else. I don't know. Like I said, I said 7 out of 10 yesterday. I haven't played it long enough to give my initial review, but I will say that after my stream today, it's down to a 5 out of 10 for me, and I'm just struggling with whether or not I'm going to actually finish playing the game on stream, which kind of sucks because I'm like 2/3 of the way through the story. Like it's only like a 15-hour storyline, and I'm like 11 hours into the story, so I'm not technically that far away from finishing the game. But I'll be damned if I want to deal with this clunky, crappy, get stuck in the environment, try to find your hit potions while you're trying to run away from the boss mob, jank. Um, Love to hear your thoughts. Leave them down below. I know some of you are going to get triggered right now and be like, he's bashing my favorite game. I just, like I said, I'm not, I was having fun until, like, for me, like, giving it a 7 out of 10 yesterday was, I've give lots of games 7 out of 10. I'm still having fun. I was not having fun at the end of my 5-hour stream today, and it's really sort of, it's with a heavy heart that I make this video because I wanted to like this game, and as the first entry into the series, I was like, maybe this will inspire me to want to go back and play others or in the future games, but as of right now, I'm just really not having fun, and I would love to find the fun. Help me find the fun, guys. Let me know in the comments below how I can find the fun in this and get past this horrible UI and horrible onboarding process. Love to hear your thoughts. Drop them down below.